and today we're going to talk about the enticing allurement of buying off the plan as an investment strategy versus buying established. Hi everybody, Amanda here from Buyers Agency Australia. Today I'm here with Dragan.
Hi everybody, I'm Dragan, founder of Buyers Agency Australia.
Now, before we get started, it's important to remind you that this is just a discussion. It's not personalised advice. So do take everything we say with a grain of salt. And if you do wish to apply anything that we say to your personal circumstances, do be sure to check with your professionals first. So, Dragan, this is a topic really close to both of our hearts because it's something that a lot of clients come to us after they've been burned by trying to use this strategy. So I think first we need to understand why clients are being driven towards or influenced towards buying off the plan investments. Why do you think they're going this way?
Well, look, a few people might be a little offended when I say this, but it's education, really. Not knowing where to start and where to go. They get attracted with the shiny, bright catalogue what they see that being sold to by salespeople who sometimes actually, make themselves out that they're actual financial advisors or property advisors, I should say, wealth creators through their platform. And what they eventually find out after they've purchased their property, they're actually getting themselves into a situation where they've just been sold a property that was, available from stocks from developers. So,
Right.
yeah.
So walk me through it. So a client goes to, it's not a buyer's agent, is it? It's a wealth creator. So what's
Something
the
like that.
difference?
Yeah.
What's the difference there? What are they buying from?
So they're buying from developer stock
Right.
that needs to get offloaded, and then they get the help from, call them a sales rep, that package themselves as a wealth creator.
Right. So they're not actually a buyer's agent. They're not advocating for the buyer.
No, they're not. So the difference between a buyer's agent is somebody that actually works for the actual buyer
Right.
on their behalf. Okay? And then they will then find out whatever their reason of their reason for purchasing, whether it's wealth creation or owner-occupiers, they will actually be working for the buyer, helping them to get the property that they actually need and want.
Right. So with these off-the-plan sales, they're actually buying from a real estate agent that represents the developer or the seller.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So now I understand, people are buying these properties, but still, why are they considering them a good idea? What is the selling point that's making somebody actually pull the trigger on these purchases?
So, for instance, they might actually be selling it as a way to save on income tax. So they will actually present that to them, show them how they can save 70, 80, 90% on their income tax. And this is a way through depreciation for a new property. What they're not realizing is that can also be done with established properties. But with the established properties, you're actually going into the market knowing exactly what you're purchasing. It's already an established property. You don't have to wait for the builds or off the plan and all that sort of stuff. You know what down the road identical property sold a month ago, and you can actually match to say, okay, well, if that property sold for $1 million, I'm picking up this or the buyer's agent is picking up for me $950. I've got a $50K discount.
Yep.
There's value there that I'm using a buyer's agent, and it's clear. You can see he's working for you.
Yeah. Okay. So with off the plan compared to something established, off the plan is a little bit more speculative, right? Because you're trying to guess the value of that property
Exactly.
before it's been built,
Yep.
without seeing the quality of the build, without seeing the quality of the fixtures,
Yep.
without seeing the inclusions.
Yep.
So in that case, then, what is the client investing in? What are they? Are they investing in speculation? Are they investing in first mover advantage? What do they think the actual value of that investment is?
Well, the value is what it's actually they're being told, right? So the value of the property is exactly what you said. They're speculating a value of maybe an established property down the road. Then they'll obviously, being a newer property, they'll add on a certain percentage of what they think is right. Now, is that true or false?
Who knows?
Who knows?
We're speculating.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So this is interesting. So we're looking at the draw cards here from a sales perspective. If we're looking at the real estate agent that's representing the developer, we've got tax benefits, we've got brand new, we've got a delayed settlement. So for somebody that might not have the funds, whereas an established property might want to settle straight away. So we can see why a hesitant investor might be drawn towards this type of investment. But you avoid these, don't you? You won't touch them.
Well, I avoid them because, of course, many years ago I've done that exact same mistake.
And how did it go for you?
Terrible.
Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. It was a new build, so I didn't have to wait too long, and it was in an area called Leichhardt, in the western suburbs of Sydney. 2-bedroom. It was about 79 square metre apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. I purchased at that time for, I remember clearly, $550,000.
That number's burned in your brain?
That number's burned in my brain. And I remember clearly I've held that property for a few years. The idea was to actually have it as an investment property. Being a new property, emotions took to play, and I actually moved in for a little while, but then I eventually moved out and got it rented out. Anyway, cut a long story short, 2 years down the track, I wanted to get a valuation to move on to a next property. It was actually valued not much. I think it was only $20,000 more, if that.
So it didn't cover your stamp duty?
Didn't even cover stamp duty, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not only that, I've seen perfect examples through friends. Obviously, I'm into property. I'm passionate about it. I see that happening quite a lot in the past through friends, and that's what sort of stopped me purchasing, new or off the plan type properties. Moving forward, I constantly see it these days as well.
Yeah.
People going into it, and clients that are coming from companies that have sold these.
Yeah.
They're coming to us now and go, hey, I've been burnt, or I've done the mistake. I've sold my apartment, I've sold my townhouses, or, listen, it's great if you're purchasing the property and it's an owner-occupier. If you're planning to live in it to a certain period, minimum 3, 4, 5 years, that's a different story. But as an investment, it's not something I recommend.
So if it's not something you recommend, what's the solution? What do we buy instead?
Established.
Why is that?
Established houses, because it's the land component that appreciates. It's actually not the physical build of the property.
Right. So can you explain that a little bit more? So if it's the land that appreciate, not the building.
Yeah.
So does that kind of tell us what depreciation is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's pretty much that the value of the build lowers in value.
Right. So if it depreciates, there's your tax benefit, everybody.
That's right.
It reduces its total value because it ages, right?
That's
Wear
right.
and tear.
Yep.
So if how many years of depreciation can somebody claim on a property?
40 years.
Okay.
Which is about 2.5% per year.
So after 40 years, a building in original condition becomes essentially worthless.
Well,
it's ready for a knockdown.
Ready for a knockdown, that's right.
So then if you were to buy a property then, say, in its 30th or its 35th year...
You still got depreciation.
You've still got depreciation, but you're also buying close to land value then because the building is closer to its lowest value.
Lowest value, that's right.
So is this part of your strategy?
In a way, yes.
Because if I'm purchasing off the plan, I'm purchasing a brand new building at the top of its value cycle,
That's right. But what you're buying is a small parcel of the land.
Of the underlying land.
Yes.
But if I write out the 40 years or a portion of the 40 years or let somebody else in an established property write out that time for me and I purchase a property that's 20 or 30 years old, then I get a big heavy discount on the building because that's already depreciated.
That's right.
Right?
Yep.
So if I'm buying off the plan, I get 40 years of depreciation. But if I'm buying established, then the age of that property has already eaten into my 40 years. Is that right?
Well, yes and no, it has. But then you can always go for renovation, add a granny flat, knock down, rebuild, and restart the clock again.
Right. So you can claim depreciation on anything under 40 years old.
Yeah.
So a new kitchen, bang, new 40 years. Granny flat, bang, new 40 years. Knock it down and rebuild, bang, 40 years again.
There you go.
On the value of whatever you've added.
Exactly, the value of what you added.
Right. And then the advantage then is I'm buying land that is worth more. Is that right?
Correct.
Why is that?
Well, because of land scarcity, you're buying in a well-established area that's been there for a long time, and you're not having a house and land package that has multiple options within the area.
Okay, so when a developer releases their house and land packages, they're
right.
not just releasing one.
No, they're releasing probably, or it depends on the development. Yeah, so they could be releasing 50, 100, 150 of them. It's kind of like walking into the supermarket when you've got a stack load of bananas. They're cheap, aren't they?
Yeah, but if it's the last one left,
Exactly.
everyone's
Fighting for it.
toilet
That's right.
paper during COVID. So that's what you're doing. You're buying the scarce properties.
Yep.
So the land is worth more.
Correct.
And you still get your depreciation when you reset the clock, or if the property is under 40 years old.
There you go. That's right.
So this is the better investment, straight from Dragan, Buyers Agency Australia. What should people do if they want to find out more?
Very simple. Just contact us, and happy to jump on a call for a free consultation.
That's great advice, Dragan. Thank you for that. And if that resonates with you and you're interested in avoiding purchasing off the plan and paying a premium for the building rather than investing in the appreciating part of the asset, which is the land, do give us a call and book in a session with Dragan. You'll find the link below to get that ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to having a chat with you soon.